Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, it is right now. You're right here. My name is Manuel, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. Today is day 31 of the show, and I have to congratulate you for making the best decision of the day to spend some time with me. Let's get started. Let me advise you right up front today's going to be a little longer than usual because today we are tackling the State of the Union Address 2026. All right, let's just dive in and talk about what we all just witnessed last night on our TVs, on our tablets, on our computers, and our phones. You see, last night wasn't just a State of the Union, it was a political stress test. And, brother, the Democrats flatlined on live television. Let's begin with the moment that will be replayed in campaign ads until the midterms and probably beyond. President Trump says, if you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. That's not complicated. That's not controversial. That's literally government 101. That's the social contract. So, naturally, the Democrats, they stayed seated. Not one of them stood at that moment. Not only did they not stand, you saw contempt and anger on their faces. Contempt for putting Americans first. Anger at the idea of protecting American lives. Now, to be very clear, the issues surrounding immigration can and should be debated. Absolutely. But if a political party cannot stand for the words protect American citizens first, who the hell are they standing up for? Because standing up for Americans is the baseline. That's the floor. Putting Americans first is not an extreme statement. That's the job description. And the Democrats, they chose to remain seated. Now, let's talk about what could be called a sleeper issue that I think should actually wake up millions. And I'm speaking of the CDL issue. President Trump last night called for banning commercial driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. And many of you, like millions of other Americans, probably had the exact same reaction. Wait, we're not already doing that? Yeah, I'm sorry to say, we're not already doing that. And that's why this is politically lethal, because it's common sense. It connects to reality. It connects to safety. We've all seen the dash cam videos. We've seen the wreckage on highways. We've seen the aftermath of catastrophic crashes. Yeah, hell, for a while there, it seemed like every day we were watching a catastrophic and deadly wreck on our highways caused by another illegal immigrant behind the wheel. Look, when you start rightfully connecting Democrat immigration policies with 80,000-pound trucks on public roads, suddenly this isn't just a Twitter policy debate. This becomes, hey, my kids are in the back seat. That's why this one cuts deep. It sounds obvious, and when something sounds obvious, voters get angry that it isn't already the law. Now, forgive me if we take a moment to be a little somber, because we're going to discuss Irina Zarutska. Irina was a refugee from Ukraine. She fled a brutal and bloody war for what she believed was the safety of the United States. And for it, she was murdered here. Murdered by a man who was only out of prison because of lax Democrat policies. Her mother sat in the chamber last night, heartbroken, but knowing that her daughter has not been forgotten. More than just that, the President of the United States honored her. Half the chamber stood up. The other half didn't. And here's where the optics become brutal. That half of the chamber that didn't stand, that's the half whose members usually wear Ukraine flag pins, while not standing for a Ukrainian refugee murdered on American soil. You cannot script a sharper contrast. We expect our elected representatives to have disagreements, of course. But when grieving parents are in the room and their murdered daughter is being honored, by God, you stand. It's basic human decency. Now, let's go down a list of what's often referred to as 90-10 or 80-20 issues that President Trump laid out last night. 1, the SAVE Act. This is a law that was passed by the House with no Democrat support, a law which ensures that only American citizens vote in American elections. 2, no driver's licenses for illegal aliens. 3, $1,000 for every newborn child in Trump accounts. 4, AI expansion while making sure the tech companies, not the people, pay for the extra electricity. 5, ending insider trading by members of Congress so that we never again see our elected representatives go from being literally broke to being multimillionaires in less than 2 years. These are not what one might think of as razor-thin, 50-50 culture war items. These issues poll overwhelmingly with regular Americans. These are the type of issues regular Americans hear about and ask, why is this even controversial? And yet, what did we see from Democrats when each of these issues was brought up by the president? Some were indifferent, some were irritated, but plenty were visibly angry. At some point, opposition stops looking principled and starts looking automatic. In other words, if Trump is for it, they automatically default to being against it, no matter what most Americans think. Put it another way, these Democrats, the entire country can be for something, but if Trump is also for it, they're going to be against it. That's it, automatically. At this point, that's not human behavior. That's being a pre-programmed robot, and not very intelligent ones at that. And then, of course, there was the drama, the political theater, the performance art. In other words, you had walkouts and shouting and booing. On one side, you had Republicans chanting, USA, and Democrats yelling back. Listen, you can hate Trump's tone, you can hate his style, you can hate the man personally. I get it, I do. But from a persuasion standpoint, oh, brother, he baited them into visual opposition to patriotism on live TV. And they took it, hook, line, and sinker. When you're seen refusing to stand up for protecting citizens, refusing to stand for honoring a murder victim, and then walking out during a hostage return announcement, you're not debating policy. You're signaling identity. And that's what voters respond to. Now, here's the deeper psychological divide. When Democrats hold the presidency, the message they often center on is America's failures, America's injustices, America's systemic problems. Not very uplifting. But when Trump speaks, the message is America is strong, America is heroic, America protects its own, and America invests in its children. You can critique the substance, absolutely, but emotionally, celebration beats criticism in a mass audience every single time. Optimism beats scolding. Affirmation beats moral lecturing. Let's face it, nobody likes having a finger wagged in their face, especially when they're being scolded for doing nothing wrong. This contrast between celebration and chastisement was on full display last night. So, what does all this mean in terms of elections, right? Because that's the nitty-gritty. That's where it gets serious. What we saw last night is why Trump swept all the swing states. It's why he won the popular vote. It's why he thrives in live settings. Because he doesn't argue policy and minutia. He forces identity signaling. Stand if you agree. That's not a debate tactic. That's a framing trap. And when your opponents refuse to stand for the frame, you don't even have to say another word. The camera does it for you. That moment alone will be worth millions in campaign advertising. All right. Here's your lesson, because as part of my pledge to be useful, I strive to impart some wisdom. Politics is not about policy proposals and legislation. It's about alignment. If you can frame an issue at the highest moral level, protect citizens, honor victims, defend elections, and then force a visible public response, you win before the policy argument even starts. Because people, they don't ask, what subsection of immigration code are we discussing? No, they ask, are you on my team or not? Trump framed the night around team identity, Team USA to be specific. Democrats publicly declined the invitation to be on Team USA, and that is devastating optics. You can disagree on details. You can criticize style. You can debate tactics. But last night, it wasn't subtle at all. It was stark, it was visual, and it was clarifying. And if you understand persuasion, you understand that moments like that don't fade. They compound. So we'll see how it plays out in the midterms. But if you're watching carefully, well, you already know that blue wave hit a major barrier last night. All right, that's enough for today. We'll continue tomorrow. And as always, be useful.